Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crucial Conversations podcast. My goal on this platform is to empower others towards self-fulfillment. These are the conversations that you need to have to unlock your maximum potential. Whether you are feeling confused about your path in life, falling in love, starting a business, healing your inner child, moving to a foreign country, embarking on your spiritual journey, or building generational wealth, let's talk. The range of emotions and experiences that allow us to fully live our lives on Earth are beautiful and yet can be difficult to navigate. My goal is to create a safe space to talk about life, the good and the bad, in an effort to share wisdom, advice, and insight. I want to connect with you. I want to encourage you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, while reminding you that that does not always mean that you need to change your circumstances. Together, we will help each other level up and have the crucial conversations necessary to do so. Oh, my beautiful people, my beautiful friends, welcome to another episode of the Crucial Conversations podcast. I'm super excited that all of you have chosen to tune in to yet another episode. And today I'm really excited because I got a spontaneous urge to sit down and record this episode this fine Sunday, and I just had a really nice, rejuvenating, and relaxing weekend to myself, and I am planning and prepping for a wonderful week ahead. But today, I just got this overwhelming urge to sit down and talk to you guys about the uncontrollable things in life and shifting our focus away from the things that we cannot control to the things that we can control, thereby helping us to reduce stress and shift our perspective towards a more positive outlook on the world on a smaller scale, on a more personal level. I just had a really heartfelt conversation with one of my close friends, and she is going through a really hard time right now. She is caught up in all of the things going on in the world that are just plain full of sadness. A lot of things going on in the political sphere in America, and the diversion and the hatred that we have been experiencing amongst each other and toward each other. And I completely understand where she's coming from, because there's a lot going on right now that when you really look at it, it demotivates you, because it's sad and it's so full of negativity. But I was sitting down and I was talking with her, and I was really just pouring into her the importance of focusing on the things that she can control in her life on a personal level that are going to contribute to the overall positive social impact that she, in her position at the moment, has the potential to exercise. It is really easy to say not to focus on the things that you can control, that you cannot control, and it's a lot harder to actually act on that. But the conversation I was having with her, I'm going to try to emulate in this podcast episode today, because I do believe that it can be extremely discouraging when we are constantly caught up in the things that are going on outside of our own personal reality that still exist and are still very, very important to be aware of, because at the end of the day, we are the change. But really just the importance of making the impact on the world that you have the capacity to do at the moment on a smaller scale. Not everybody is going to wake up and want to be the next Greta Thunberg, because she is a boss, she is amazing, and I am obsessed with her, but we don't all have the capacity in our lives to be that change on such a large scale at the moment, and that is okay. I think that the large scale and the small scale changes are just as important when we think about changing the overall social, political, environmental climate of our world. And anyways, the conversation that I was having with her really was centered around shifting her focus away from the things that she cannot control to the things that she can control. And I see this on a daily basis in my life. I try to be as aware of my thoughts as possible, because I do believe that at the end of the day, we are in control of our thoughts. And if we can get a grip on the way that we think, we can get a grip on the way that we speak, on the way that we act, and the way that we live. And so I was in that conversation, and I was trying to be as real with her, but I was trying to be as real with myself as I possibly could have been. So today I'm going to try to emulate that same energy with all of you guys today. And the biggest reason that I want to focus on shifting our focus away from the things that we cannot control, is because in doing so, it greatly reduces the amount of stress that we experience on a daily basis. There's so much wasted time and energy spent on stressing about the things that we cannot control. And I read a book a little while back about how to stop worrying and start living. And I believe it's by Dale Carnegie. And it was an amazing read. But one of the things that really, really stuck with me was that 90% of the things, and it might have even been higher than that, it might have even been 99%. I can't think of the exact statistic right now, and I probably should have it written down, but about 90% of the things that we worry about never end up happening. I thought that, first of all, that was incredible for me to see materialized on paper in a factual statement, because I know that for me, I'm such a planner and I want to be in control of everything and I want to make sure everything's going the way that I want it to. And with that, a lot of worry can be attached to that mode of thinking, you know? And so to hear that about 90% of the things that we worry about never happen, really just, it forced me to reconcile with what's really going on in my head. Really prompted me to be more cognizant of the types of thoughts and feelings that I'm feeding and the things that I'm buying into. Another really, really powerful quote that has stuck with me over time is to not believe everything that you think. There are a lot of thoughts that run through my mind on a daily basis. And one of the hardest things and one of the most important areas of my life that I have spent time trying to improve is allowing myself to be less attached to my thoughts and occupy the seat of a witness more than the actual, human essence of what my thoughts are. I am witnessing my level of consciousness and awareness is what allows me to digest and, work through my thoughts, because there is an underlying awareness that is necessary to be achieved to recognize the fact that you're even having thoughts in the moment. So what I have tried to get better at over time is being less attached to those thoughts and not believing every single one of those thoughts that runs through my head. I sometimes will think outlandish things, and I know that that's not my true nature, and I'm sure all of you guys can relate to me. Sometimes we'll just have a moment, we'll like stim out and we'll just start thinking of things, or thoughts will pop into your brain and you're like, who could have watered that seed, because that is just not me. That's not what I stand for. You know what I'm saying? So not to believe everything that you think, and to tie that back into focusing on the things that we can control. We have a choice. When it comes to feeding into our negative thoughts, we have a choice to believe the things that we think. And I choose not to believe everything that I think, because I know on a personal level that every thought that runs through my head cannot be considered truth. Because of the fact that I know I'll stim out sometimes and I'll have crazy outlandish thoughts, I'm not going to tie any sense of importance to some of those crazy thoughts. So when things come into my head that are classified as things that I cannot control, I have the choice to shift my perspective to the things that I can control that may be correlated with those thoughts, but are still under my wheelhouse. And I think that in order to reduce the amount of stress and the amount of pain and sorrow that we feel on a daily basis, like my friend who I just had this conversation with, we need to get a grip and become more aware of the thoughts that we are having and break them down to the point that we can understand the fundamental elements of each of those thoughts and attach ourselves to our purpose in navigating through the ones we have control over. How can we shift our perspective from worrying and buying into the negativity that is going on a much larger scale than we are able to play a part in right now? And how can we break it down to the fundamental elements that we have our hands in and that we can control, and we can make an impact in shifting toward a more positive atmosphere, whether that means in your household, at your workplace, whatever that might be. At the end of the day, there are a lot of social movements that you may or may not agree with that are going on right now, but it doesn't matter what you feel. You must act out in regards to how you are feeling in your own smaller life circle, because at the end of the day, that's the impact that you have on the world is within your inner circle. So choosing to focus on the things that you can control and the feelings and the words that you are putting out and the actions that you are putting out into the world, focusing on those things allows you to be put back in the driver's seat. You are not going to ever be able to feel like you have a grip on your life if you're constantly thinking outside of your wheelhouse about the things that are going on that you simply cannot control. So if you want to reduce stress and you want to put yourself back in the driver's seat of your life, you need to break down those thoughts and those negative feelings and try to analyze them to the point that you can identify the areas that you can control, and then getting to work on the things that you need to change or the things that you need to implement in order to be the change that you wish to see in the bigger picture. So I know that I just went a little bit cray cray, but I genuinely think that, we all have a track record of being really great human beings, and it might not be what you're thinking about right now. Maybe you are down in the dumps and you're kind of being hard on yourself and you're not thinking about all the great things that you've done in the past or the impact that you have had on the lives of your loved ones. But at the end of the day, we all have a track record that we have to reference when we get down in the dumps and we're focused on the things that we cannot control. Bring yourself back to the times that you have helped other people or that you have made a positive impact in their lives. Because another piece of advice here, guys, if you are feeling down and you are upset with your current situation and you're depressed and you're feeling really, really under the weather mentally, the best thing that I can recommend for you to do is to go out and help someone, because helping others in turn will help you. I know that for me personally, when I can recognize that I am having a positive impact on someone's life, my heart is filled with love and joy and light and peace. And I genuinely believe, and it's scientifically proven, that when you help other people and you make a consolidated effort to have a positive impact on one or more lives of the people in your inner circle, that you in turn will feel better. So if you cannot control that you're having negative thoughts right now, something that you can control is going out and trying to help someone or trying to make a positive impact on the lives of someone else. Because I don't like to be the person that says, oh, you're sad, well, someone always has it worse, because that's the same thing as saying you're happy, well, someone always has it better, But we have to be honest with ourselves, is that you're not the only one experiencing pain. I'm not the only one experiencing pain. So if we feel like we're not in a place to help ourselves, let's at least try to put ourselves in a place that we can help other people and therefore collectively contribute to raising the overall vibration of our society and of our human race as a whole. That you can control. And I don't mean to sound insensitive, because there are times where you might not be feeling well enough to take care of yourself. Why am I telling you to go take care of someone else? It doesn't seem logical. You can't rationalize it. And honestly, it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards. I get it. There are times where I've felt that way as well. But if you cannot consolidate your effort, what you do need to focus on is just becoming more aware of the things that you're allowing to run through your head, because awareness is going to bring you to a point of being able to analyze what's actually going on. Because in order to do that, you have to be aware. So awareness, analyzation, digestion, and renavigation, truly, because you can control your awareness of your thoughts. You might not be able to control every single one that pops into your head, but over time, the more aware that you become, the more that you will be able to control those thoughts. So really just all about shifting your perspective, guys. The next thing that I want to bridge over into, because I've been really focused on talking about perspective and controlling your thoughts and everything like that, but there comes a point where you have to get past the thought process. You have to actually take action. And in order for me to reduce my stress, I know that a big part in doing that has to do with checking things off of my list. So if you are in a position, whether it's at work or in your personal life, where you're feeling really, really stressed out at the moment, first of all, you have to make sure that you're focusing on the things that you can control, but you also need to make sure that you are generating a plan of action to work through some of those things. Things that you allow to swim in your head and you're not planning to execute anytime soon, those are just going to be constant stressors in your life. So if I have retained one piece of advice from my father, God bless his heart, it is do it now. If you are worried about a number of things that you need to get done and it's causing you to feel stressed, it's causing you to feel anxious, my number one piece of advice that I got from my dad is to do it now. Do what you can right now to reduce at least some of your stress, and then it's going to put you in the mode of thinking that is going to be necessary to eventually eliminate all of the other things that are causing you stress. For example, if it is a Sunday evening and my room is messy and I need to clean my shower and my bathroom and I need to do a load of laundry and I need to prep and I need to go to the store and I need to get all my meals to meal prep. Okay, whoa. We're getting a little bit out of hand. I am feeling stressed. That's a lot that I need to do. Instead of letting all of those thoughts swim around in my brain and continue to cause me stress while I procrastinate in the moment, what I can do, even if I'm in bed and I don't want to get up right now, is I can at least take those thoughts out of my head and put them on paper. And I can make a list of the things that I know that I need to get done so that I can take those thoughts, stop them from swimming around in my head that are just going to cause me stress and honestly relentless anxiety because I don't have them anywhere else other than in my head. So I feel like I have to keep them on the tip of my tongue and keep thinking about them in order for me not to forget them. I can put those things down on paper and then I can put myself into the mode of thinking of, okay, this is what this looks like. What takes priority? What can I do right now that may require maybe the least amount of effort if I don't feel like going out and doing the hardest thing on that list? What can I do right now that's going to eliminate some of the things on my list and overall make me feel better because I have less to do? So just little things and focusing on what is it that I can control right now. I can control taking out a piece of pen and a piece of paper and a pen and writing down the things that I need to get done and then figuring out what is it that I can do now that's going to help me to eliminate some of that stress. When you eliminate the things that are swimming around in your brain, it provides you clarity and more room to think and act rationally and preemptively. When you allow yourself to just constantly be swimming in the things that you are worried about and you're not doing anything about those things, I mean, it's an infinity pool. Like, you're never going to stop swimming. You have to do something about those things, whether it's putting it on paper, whether it's doing the easiest one, or maybe it's doing the hardest one because you know that once you do the hardest thing, everything else seems easy. I don't know what it is for you, but if you can get yourself into the ideology of do it now, you are going to eliminate so much of your stress and so much of your time spent worrying because you're not taking action. So do it now, you guys. And if you're going to do it well. And maybe you're not in the place to do it well, but at least you're doing something. Take action, because taking action will eliminate the thought of, I need to do this, because you're already in the mode of thinking, well, I am doing, if that makes sense. Again, there are times where you're not going to feel like doing anything, but that's when it comes back to discipline and making sure that you are showing up for yourself. Sometimes you're not going to be able to. I get it. But let's try to get ourselves into a state of mind where we can show up for ourselves at least 90 to 95% of the time. Allow yourself 5% to just be, not do. That's okay, because there is so much power in being and not doing. But when you're being just fired at with stress and anxiety, you got to get yourself back in the driver's seat and you got to do something about it, because at the end of the day, the thoughts that you feed into, it takes just as much energy to feed into the negative thoughts as it does the positive ones. And honestly, if you don't want to be a positive person today and you want to feed into a mode of neutral thinking, do it, please. It's so much better to be neutral and honest with yourself than it is to be falsely positive or feed into those negative thoughts. If all you've got in you today is to be a neutral thinker, that, hey, I might not be feeling my best, but I'm alive, my legs work, and it is what it is. I would rather you think that than feed into the negative thinking of, oh my God, I have to go to work today. Oh, it's Sunday. I have so much that I needed to do, and feeding into those thoughts. So whether it's positive, whether it's neutral, at least try to focus your energy there instead of entertaining those negative thoughts. The next thing that I want to touch on, because it really does correlate to all the other things that I've been talking about do it now and focus on the things that you can control, is just the realization that the less you find yourself in a rush or playing catch up, the better. That is my own personal outlook on the way that I am and the way that I function and the way that I operate. But the more that I find myself in a rush, the more stress and anxiety that I experience. So the more that you can plan and make sure that you're in control of the things you have your hands in, the less you feel like things are happening to you, and the more that you feel like you again are in the driver's seat. There's a time and a place for releasing control and trusting God. You have to find your unique balance. I believe that the foundation for a good quality life is unattachment to outcomes and letting go, but that your infrastructure built upon that foundation is a focus on what you can do to create your dream reality. You have to release attachment to the outcomes because you can't get so caught up in feeling like you need to achieve everything exactly the way that you've envisioned it, because you will experience disappointment. You will experience, re-navigation in life when you thought you were supposed to go down this route, but God had different plans for you and you're going down this route. The outcome might be exceptionally greater than the one that you had in mind. So detaching yourself more so from the outcome and focusing on that infrastructure of controlling what you can. And in other words, that's really just releasing the stress and anxiety attached to your uncontrollable aspects of your life and focusing on the things that you can control. You have to be the one that is finding that unique balance in your outlook and your perspective on life. But truly, the more that you can place your focus in planning and doing what you can and releasing control of the things that you cannot, the happier that you're going to be. And I truly, truly believe that. Now, to take that a step further, we also have to have the realization that everything in our material universe was born of thought. When thought takes word becomes action, and action produces outcome. So the tangible things and even the intangible experiences and feelings, etc., that we experience in our lives, they all began as thoughts. And to loop back to what I was saying about how feeding negative thoughts takes just as much energy as it takes to feed positive thoughts, or maybe it's neutral thoughts because you're not feeling like the most positive, optimistic person today, that's okay. It takes the same amount of energy and it takes the same amount of time and awareness to be able to do those things. So if we know that everything in our material universe was born of thought, I think that we would take a lot more precaution when analyzing what thoughts we're feeding and which ones we are not. Because again, I know that I've said this so many times, but it just rings so much more true as my time on this planet goes on and moves forward, is that everything in my reality is a reflection of my personality. And who was it? I can't remember who this guy was who said it. And I just butchered it, but he said, your personal reality is a reflection of your personality. Something like that. Your personality is your personal reality. I think that's what it was. And it's so true. The thoughts that you feed the fire to are the ones that are going to produce the words that you speak and are going to influence the actions that you take and therefore produce the outcomes that you desire. And maybe it's the ones that you don't desire. Maybe you've been caught up in feeding those negative thoughts, and then you're saying those negative words when you're in conversation with your friends. Oh my gosh, this sucks, and I can't get a grip on this, and I can't, and this, whatever. Maybe that's been you lately. And maybe if you're aware, you've started to see other things in your life that you can attribute more negative thought and feeling towards because you're so focused on entertaining those negative thoughts that it actually becomes your personal reality. So let's shift that and remind ourselves that it takes the same amount of energy to feed the positive thoughts that become positive words, that become positive actions and materialize into our own positive reality. Just be real. Be real. You're not going to be positive 24/7, but you, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, have control over the things that you are choosing to feed into. So let's try to make a consolidated effort to again foster those positive thoughts and those just thoughts and feelings of what we can control and taking action on those things so that we can reduce some of our stress. Now, I know that we touched on a lot today, and the impetus for me having this conversation was because I know that I have been in both sides of the spectrum when I think about my mental state of being. I have been on the side of I'm feeding into negative thoughts and I can't seem to break this pattern, and I'm down in the dumps, and when is it going to get better? I've been there, and I've also been on the other side of things. Things are going exceptionally well right now. I am so thankful and I'm blessed, and everything seems to be going right, and I'm grateful to God and everything like that. I've been on both sides, and I've been in the middle. And at the end of the day, what I realize is that because your thoughts are so powerful, you have to make the conscious decision to be aware of those thoughts and start taking action on how you can rewire your brain to create the type of reality that you desire to live in. In no way am I taking away from the weight that things going on in the world have on individual humans. I know that I've experienced that. And I am not a happy person 24/7 because happiness, it comes in waves. It's not a destination. And the human experience does not entail being happy all the time, because then you wouldn't truly experience being a human, right? What I believe that we are here to learn and to adapt to is our unique ability as conscious beings to choose the perspective that we take on this life with. So I don't want to come off as insensitive whatsoever. More so, I just want to encourage and motivate all of you guys to remember the power that you have as a conscious being on this planet, to take control of the things that you have your hands in your life, to prove to yourself that even in your inner circle, you do have a positive impact, and you can produce positive, tangible outcomes and experiences and relationships and everything like that. And you may not be the most positive person right now, but if you can channel yourself to become more aware of your focus and your thoughts and shifting those things to the things that you can control, you're in the driver's seat of your life, and you are going to hopefully reap a better quality life and state of mental being by focusing on those things and what you can control. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode of the Crucial Conversations podcast. If anything that I said rang true to you guys, if you've made it this far, please shoot me a message and allow me to connect with you guys on a level that I'm hoping to by creating these episodes. I thank you all. I am blessed to be able to be here speaking into a microphone and doing what I love. So thank you all, and I hope to see you on next week's episode. Bye. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Crucial Conversations. I hope that you were inspired by this talk and reminded that you are capable of anything you have the capacity to imagine. Share this episode with someone that you want to help unlock their maximum potential. Because sometimes in order to find the answers, you have to know how to ask the questions. And that is what we do on this podcast. I love you all, and I will see you next time on Crucial Conversations.